Welcome to the 4th episode of BBUS Best Practices. Consider this line of thinking from a very slow student. If I do my work, and pay attention in class and do my homework, I'm going to fail. If I don't pay attention in class and I don't do my homework, I'm going to fail. He has an easy choice to make. Why should he do his work? Why should he pay attention? Why should he do his homework? What we need to give that student hope that things could be different this time. Do what I ask you to do, and you can pass. If we can give them that hope, then maybe we can get them to try. One tool that I've used to try to encourage students to work in class, I call it the everything folder. It's a very simple technique. At the beginning of the year, I give every student a legal size folder. I use the colored ones that you could buy in Staples, but you can use plain white folders also. And on it, I identify if they sit at tables, their table number, if they sit at rows, their row number, or if your class has some other kind of format, you can figure out what you're going to call it. The reason why this is important is because I sort these by, let's say, all of Table 4's. And at the beginning of the period, all of Table 4's folders are on Table 4. On this part of the folder is the student's name. So when the student goes to sit down, he takes his folder. If it's on the first seat of the row, if it's on the center of the table, however your class is set up. And inside, there is very simply a sheet that says, name, math class, I was teaching math, you can adjust this, period, and the day of the week of, let me see if I can get this closer for you, the week of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you see that after Friday, there's a place for a grade. I repeat this, and I believe I got 5 weeks on one page. At the end of the video, I will attach the template for this form, although it's very, very easy for you to make. Now, how do I use it? Well, first of all, I said when the students walk into the room, these are on the first seat of the row or the center of the table, and their job is to pick up their folder with their name on it before they go to their seat. So now in middle school or in high school, the late bell will ring, and as you walk into the room, you pick up the leftover folders from the first row of each seat or the center of each table, and you are now holding the attendance. All of these people whose folders you have in your hand are not in their seats, and the late bell has rung. Well, now, John struts in after the late bell, and he just walks toward you because he knows he needs his folder, which you now have in your possession, and you don't need a confrontation with him. You don't need to ask him anything. You just find his folder, and before you give it to him, you write late on today's date, and you hand him his folder with a smile. The folders that you're left with, nobody came in late for them, nobody took them. When you have a chance later, when the students are working, you can now mark absent on all of those, and you have your attendance recorded. You don't have to take class time to do it. Now, what else do you use these for? Well, the class is now starting, and I put a do now on the board, and some people are working very hard on it, and I'll just walk around and stop occasionally and write working nicely, or good job, or somebody stopped me and said, Miss, do you have a pen? And I'll say, sure, here's a pen, and I'll write on that line, no pen. What this is giving me is an evaluation of that student's work during that period. Sometimes I'll just walk around and put a happy face on a line. Or I'll just walk near a student who's not working with my pen in my hand, and I'll look on my face and they start working because they don't want me to write "not working very well today" on that line. I can use it to check homework. I can say to students, could you leave your homework out on the corner of the desk? And if there is no homework, I can write no homework on that line. I've used it for attendance. I've used it for doing their classwork, for homework. Suppose one student is helping another student. I could write great teamwork on a line. In the beginning, I tried to only use my comments very positively. Do you get to every student every day? No, you do not. But you walk around the classroom always with a pen or a pencil in your hand so that you can, without much effort, stop and put a check or a happy face or a more important comment if that's what's necessary. What I found was that I would have students say to me at the end of the period, "Miss, you wrote in his folder, but you didn't write in mine. And you didn't write in mine yesterday either." I will stop right then and there. I will write something for today, and I will try to make it a point to write something for them tomorrow when they come in. I even had the roughest, toughest kids in the class say, "Hey, miss, how come he got a happy face and I didn't get one?" It becomes very competitive. Now, the reason it works is because of what you do at the end of the week. Every Friday, you give some kind of assignment at the beginning of the period. It could be a short assignment. It could be a quick quiz. And you walk around to every single student and you look at what you've written. And you give them a grade. First, let's talk about the grade. Then let's talk about what goes into it. The grades are only an A, a B, a C, or an F. So you're either doing your work or you're failing. There's no D's, there's no minuses, there's no pluses. We're just trying to get an idea of how your work has been this week. So I might walk over to a student and I might say, "John, you did very nicely and you're not missing any homework and you were here every day. But you were late 3 times. I can't give an A to somebody who was late 3 times, so I'm going to give you a B." I might walk to the next person because I'm having this very private conference with a kid right at their desk. And the next person, I might look at the information and say, "So, you were here every day and you did your work and you were late 3 times. But last week, you were late every day. So because I see an improvement, I'm going to give you a B." You can make your own bargains. You can reward for what that kid needs, and you can scold for what that kid needs, because nobody but you and the child are having this discussion. At the end of the marking period, you have all of these that become a classwork grade. And in a really slower class, you have to start giving weight to the classwork grades, more weight than necessarily to the tests. A kid needs to know that if they do their work, there's a chance that they're going to pass. And the bottom line of that is that if a kid really does do their work, they probably will pass. That most of the kids who are not passing because they've given up. They've given up on themselves, they've given up on the subject, and they've given up on learning. So you have to try to bring them back. Now, will this work for every single kid? Probably not, but I've seen it work miracles. I've seen kids whose life was spent roaming the halls in a high school run to my class to get there before the late bell because they didn't want me to write late on that line. I've seen kids come to me on a Thursday and say, how do you think I did this week? Do you think I'm going to finally get an A? It's important to them. It also is a great bookkeeping system for the teacher. When parents come on parent-teacher conference, pull out the folder. I've noticed Jim has always been absent on Fridays, like 3 Fridays this marking period. Is there a reason that I should know of? No, Mrs. Goldstein, I didn't know he was absent on Friday. We'll take care of that. Or, look how often Mary has gotten, thank you for helping other students. That's wonderful. You really should praise her for that. Or, Joe has a problem with homework. Or the whole record. It's right there in front of you in a folder with the child's name. So it becomes an extremely good tool for the teacher. Now, a couple of caveats. One is that I told my kids on the day that I explained how the folders would work, I told them, now it's occurred to me that the only reason somebody's folder would go missing would be if they had all Fs. So if your folder goes missing, guess what you're going to have as your grades for this marking period. So that discouraged kids from just doing the kind of mischief that kids will do and taking their folders. It becomes a very useful tool. It can be used by the teacher. The folder itself can hold their classwork. You can have them take it home before every test to study. It can hold their homeworks. It can hold whatever is best in your class for your students for it to hold. It became such a part of their routine that even on days that I was absent, the monitor for that class, who was supposed to put out the folders on each row, did. The students took their folders, even though there was a substitute standing in front of the room. It became an integral part of the process of that classroom. And it gave children hope that if I can make everything in here say that I'm doing well, then I can get a good grade. And my whole grade does not depend just on test scores. I think that there's a lot of value to encouraging students and finding a way to bring them back into the participation in the class. At the end of a marking period, your classwork grades are very simple to calculate. You have 90 as an A, 80 as a B, 70 as a C, and 50 as an F. So there's a very big disadvantage to getting an F. And you make your bargains with the kids during every week, and you encourage the behavior you need to encourage in each child because of that. But remember, the folder will only work if you make it work by making sure that you give those marks every Friday and by making sure the kids understand how you're using them to get their report card grade. Thank you for listening. And again, if you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe to the station. I'll see you again real soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. If you want any additional information about BBOS best practices or any other teaching techniques, please don't hesitate to use this contact information. Thank you for watching.